Under the burning desert sun, Ethan Cole walked alone across the endless sea of golden sand. The heat shimmered in the air and the wind carried the dry taste of dust into his mouth. His boots sank slightly with every step, leaving behind a trail that would soon be erased by the restless breeze. He was tired, thirsty, and almost ready to turn back, when something unusual caught his eye ahead in the distance. A dark curve rose above the dune. It was not rock. It was not bone. It was too smooth, too perfect. It gleamed faintly under the sunlight as if it had been waiting to be found for a very long time. His heartbeat quickened as he approached each step, revealing more of the strange object. Its surface was metallic cold to the touch. Even in the blazing heat, he brushed away the sand and felt lines etched into the metal. Not scratches, but symbols, ancient and glowing faintly with a blue light that pulsed in rhythm like a slow heartbeat. The desert was empty, yet the air around him felt alive, heavy with some invisible energy, as he ran his hand along the curved surface. His drone beeped, sending back data to his wrist display object. Age 500 years. Material unknown. Origin unknown. His brow furrowed. There were no ships. In this desert, no seas for them to sail. Yet here was a massive hull half buried in the sand, a relic from another world. Perhaps the wind rose sharply, carrying with it the distant growl of thunder. He looked up and saw a storm rolling in dark clouds, boiling above the horizon, lightning flashing between them in jagged white spears. But something was wrong. The lightning seemed to bend, changing direction as if drawn toward the object before him. He stepped back uneasy, the metallic surface under. The sand hummed faintly, so faintly, he wondered if it was his imagination. Then a stronger vibration ran through the ground under his feet, a low, deep sound like the breath of some sleeping giant. Waking up, Ethan's pulse raced. He circled the exposed section, trying to find more of it. The sand seemed to resist, as if it wanted to keep its secret, but determination and curiosity pushed him forward. He dug with his hands with his small shovel, revealing more of the smooth black hull, and then he saw it, a narrow seam, a line in the surface that could only be a hatch. The edge was outlined with faint light, the same strange blue glow that marked the symbols. His fingers hovered over it. He felt a pull in his chest. Not fear exactly, but an intense, strange calling, like the object knew him, like it had been waiting for him for centuries. The thunder boomed closer, the storm clouds now overhead. The wind howled, tearing at his clothes. Grains of sand stung his skin, yet all his focus was on that glowing seam. He glanced at his drone. Its sensors flickered strangely. The display showed a reading he had never seen before. Signal lock subject, recognized name, Ethan Cole status. Arrival confirmed. He froze. His name. How could a 500-year-old object know his name? Another flash of lightning split the sky, and this time the bolt did not strike the ground. It curved in the air and slammed into the buried ship with a blinding explosion of light. Instead of destroying it, the ship seemed to absorb the energy. The blue glow flared brighter than ever, flooding the sand with ghostly light. The hum rose into a deep, resonant tone that made the hairs on his arms stand up. His breath caught in his throat. The hatch shifted, a slow, mechanical groan echoing under the storm. Above the line widened dust and sand spilling down into the gap. A cold rush of air touched his face, air that smelled fresh, impossibly fresh, for something sealed in the earth for centuries. Shadows moved inside shapes. He could not understand. The hum turned into a rhythm, like a pulse, like a heart beating somewhere deep inside this machine. Lightning flashed again, illuminating his stunned face. For a single instant, he saw a reflection, not his own, in the dark, glassy surface within the hatch. A tall figure, unmoving, yet its eyes seemed fixed on him, as if it had been waiting for this moment all along. The storm roared in full now, but Ethan did not notice his world had narrowed to the strange, silent invitation. Before him, the ship had been here for 500 years, and for reasons he could not yet imagine, it had waited just for him. Ethan stood frozen, the sand swirling around him as the storm raged above the open hatch gaped in front of him, spilling its cold breath into the desert air. He felt the weight of time pressing down as if 5 centuries of waiting had built to this single moment. His hand trembled. Not from fear, but from the strange pressure in his chest. The same pull that had led him across the dunes, the pull that now seemed stronger, louder. Almost like a voice whispering from inside, he stepped closer, his boots sinking deeper in the loose sand. The hatch was larger than it first seemed, wide enough for 2 men to walk through. Side by side, the edges were carved with the same glowing symbols that had appeared when he touched the hull. Their soft blue light was steady now, and pulsing in perfect rhythm with his own heartbeat. He reached forward, his fingertips brushed the edge, and the hum from within the ship deepened so low it seemed to vibrate in his bones. He climbed up onto the lip of the hatch. The smooth black metal strangely warm, despite the cold air pouring from inside the desert around him, faded from his thoughts. The storm, the lightning, the roar of wind. All became distant, muffled by the strange calm seeping from the darkness beyond. Without another thought, he stepped inside and was swallowed by the shadow. The light from the storm vanished behind him as the hatch sealed itself without a sound. Ethan's eyes adjusted to the dim glow that lined the narrow corridor ahead. The walls were smooth-curved like the inside of a living creature, and marked with alien script that shifted slowly as though the ship itself was rewriting its own skin. The air was crisp clean, almost sweet after the dry heat outside. There was no dust, no sign of decay. It was as if the ship had been frozen in time, untouched by the 500 years buried beneath. The dunes! His footsteps echoed faintly. The sound swallowed quickly by the strange acoustics of the passage. His drone floated in behind him, its sensors scanning the air and walls, returning impossible results. Atmospheric purity, 100%. Temperature stable, energy signatures active and moving. The last reading made him stop energy moving. What did that mean? He turned a corner and the corridor widened into a vast chamber. His breath caught the ceiling, rose far above, lined with strange panels that glowed softly like a twilight sky. In the center of the chamber stood a tall, crystal-like structure pulsing with the same blue light as the symbols on the walls and the hull. It throbbed in perfect harmony with the hum that filled the air. And with his own heartbeat as he stepped toward it, the surface shimmered, and then from the crystal, a figure emerged. It was not solid, not flesh, but light, shaped like a tall, armored being, its face hidden behind a smooth mask, its eyes too glowing. White orbs fixed directly on him when it spoke. Its voice was deep, resonant, and filled the chamber without coming from any direction. "Welcome, Ethan Cole, you have arrived at last." The words hit him harder than the storm outside. He swallowed his throat. "Dry? How do you know my name?" The figure tilted its head as though curious. "I have known it for 500 years. You are the one for whom this vessel has waited, the one who carries the key." Ethan felt his legs weaken. What key? The figure raised. A hand, and images spilled into the air around them, stars burning bright and dying in waves of shadow, colossal ships like living darkness, tearing planets apart, and somewhere in the middle of that chaos, a shape he recognized, the very ship he now stood inside, battling against impossible odds. The figure's voice cut through the vision. "The enemy approaches your world. They will arrive in 3 days without the key. They cannot be stopped. You are that key." The visions faded. The hum deepened. And for a moment, Ethan could hear something beneath it, a faint pattern like words hidden in the sound. He could not understand them, but they stirred something deep in his mind. He looked at the figure, his voice low. "Why me?" The answer was simple and terrifying. "Because you were chosen before you were born." Lightning flared somewhere outside the storm, still raging beyond the buried hull. But in here time felt different. Slower, heavier. The figure stepped back, and the crystal dimmed the air. Shifted, the walls of the chamber began to change, rearranging themselves into a path leading deeper into the ship. The voice spoke again. "Follow the path. Learn what you are and prepare for what is coming." The hum swelled again. And this time Ethan realized it was not just the sound of the ship. It was the sound of something alive and waiting just beneath the surface. Something that had known his arrival was inevitable, and now that he was here, it would not let him go. Ethan moved forward slowly, the new corridor stretching ahead, like the throat of some enormous living thing. The smooth black walls rippled faintly, as if responding to his presence. The blue glow followed him, spreading ahead like a trail welcoming him, or perhaps guiding him. His boots made no sound. Now the hum of the ship surrounding him so completely that he could no longer tell if it was coming from the walls or from within his own body. His drone floated silently behind its sensors, struggling to process the readings as if the ship's systems were interfering deliberately. The passage curved downward in a gentle spiral, and soon he stepped into another chamber, this one darker, lit only by thin veins of pale light running along the floor. The air was cooler here and carried a faint metallic scent. In the center of the space stood a long structure that looked like a sarcophagus, its surface covered in shifting alien script. Ethan approached cautiously, his hand hovering above it when the hum rose sharply. The writing froze, and the top of the structure dissolved into thin air, revealing what lay inside. He stared, unable to breathe. It was a suit of armor, sleek black and silver, marked with the same glowing blue veins the figure from the crystal had worn. It looked impossibly advanced, yet somehow tailored exactly for him. As he stepped closer, the armor broke apart into floating pieces, each one rotating slowly in the air, and the deep voice filled the chamber again. "Take it." Ethan hesitated. "What is it?" The voice answered. "Your protection, your bond with the vessel, your key to the command." The floating pieces of armor drifted toward him as if pulled by gravity that only affected them one by one. They attached to his body, the chest plate locking over his ribs, the gauntlets sealing over his hands, each piece fitting with a perfect click. When the helmet formed around his head, a flood of information hit him. Images, schematics, streams of alien text. His mind reeled, but the suit seemed to filter the overload into something he could understand. The ship was speaking directly to him now, not through sound, but through thought. He staggered, taking a deep breath. The air tasted different inside the suit, cleaner, sharper. His vision sharpened, the walls now alive with patterns of light and data. A heads-up display marking pathways, power flows, and even his own heartbeat. The voice spoke again. "You are now linked to the core. We can begin the transfer." Before he could ask what transfer meant, the chamber dissolved around him, not physically, but in his perception, replaced by a vision of the stars rushing past as if he were flying through space. He saw massive black shapes lurking in the void, their outlines jagged, their surfaces rippling like oil in water. "These are the enemy." The voice said. "They consume light. They consume worlds. They cannot be reasoned with." Ethan felt a cold weight in his stomach. The vision shifted, showing Earth hanging in the dark, its blue oceans shining, its continents bright with life, and then the enemy shapes closing in like predators. The image froze, and the voice's tone deepened. 3 days. Ethan. Then the vision was gone, and the chamber returned, the hum stronger, now vibrating. In his bones, he stepped back from the sarcophagus, his mind racing. He didn't understand how or why he had been chosen, but he could feel the truth of the ship's words in every nerve in his body. His drone beeped for the first time in minutes, displaying a warning multiple heat signatures approaching fast from above ground-level human aircraft. The ship's systems reacted before Ethan could think, panels sliding open in the walls, revealing strange weapons that began to hum with power. "Wait!" he shouted, but the ship ignored him. The voice in his head, calm and absolute defense protocol, active targets approaching hostile. "No," Ethan said louder, his mind flashing with the thought of fighter jets torn apart by alien fire in the middle of a storm. The suit seemed to respond to his urgency, a new interface appearing in his vision override defense protocol. The words hung in front of him, waiting for confirmation. "Do it," he thought, and instantly the weapon hum ceased. The panels sealed. Again, the voice paused, then spoke with a faint edge of curiosity. "You choose to protect them, even though they are not ready to protect you." Ethan took a deep breath, because they're not the enemy. But the voice gave no reply. Only the hum remained. The corridor ahead lit up bright as daylight, the path leading deeper toward the heart of the ship. His pulse quickened. Something told him that whatever lay ahead would reveal not just what the ship wanted, but what it would demand from him before. This was over. Ethan followed the bright corridor deeper into the ship, the smooth walls shifting almost imperceptibly, as if the vessel itself was alive and watching him. The suit clung to his body with a perfect balance of weight and movement. Every step felt lighter, every breath sharper. The blue light along the walls pulsed in sync with his own heartbeat, and now he realized the ship's hum was doing the same, adjusting to match him. The deeper he went, the colder the air became, the metallic tang stronger in his mouth, as though he were walking toward the center of something ancient and powerful. The passage finally opened into a vast circular chamber, the ceiling lost in shadows, the floor made of a strange glassy surface, beneath which rivers of light flowed like liquid stars. In the center floated a sphere the size of a small room, its surface alive with moving constellations, each one shifting and reforming with impossible speed. The deep voice came again. "This is the memory core. Every moment of the vessel's journey, every truth it carries lies here." The sphere rotated slowly, and Ethan felt the pull again, that strange, silent calling. As he stepped closer, the stars on its surface exploded outward, forming a map so vast it stretched across the chamber planets, stars, nebulae filling the space around him like he was standing in the middle of the galaxy. The voice continued, "Long before your time, there was a war not of land or nations, but of existence itself. We fought the darkness. The enemy you saw, and we lost. The map shifted, showing fleets of ships locked in battle with colossal shadow shapes. The darkness swallowed entire worlds. Their light snuffed out one by one." The voice grew heavier. "We hid this vessel. Here your world was not yet known to the enemy, but the time would come when they would find it." Ethan's gaze locked on one glowing dot, the earth surrounded by faint lines of light. The voice said, "Those lines are the last defense, ancient networks, hidden within your planet's own structure. They cannot be activated without the genetic key. The one you carry." The map dimmed, and the chamber seemed to press in closer, the voice almost softer. "Now your bloodline was chosen 5 centuries ago when this vessel came to rest. The last of the crew saw the coming future, and prepared. One among them left the vessel to blend with your kind. Their descendants would carry the key, and you are that descendant." Ethan felt his chest tighten. Images rose. In his mind, flashes of people he had never met, faces that seemed familiar yet ancient. The voice did not let him linger. "The enemy will arrive in 3 of your days. If the network is not awakened, they will consume your world, as they have countless others." He stared at the sphere, the enormity of it sinking in. "You said weapon before. What kind of weapon is this?" The sphere shifted, the rivers of light beneath the floor glowing brighter. "The network is not a weapon in the way. You know it is a shift in time, a turning back to the moment before the war began to strike, before they knew we were ready. Ethan's thoughts stumbled over the words, time travel. You're saying this ship can send me back? The voice was calm. Not the ship the vessel is the anchor. You are the blade to go back, is to lose your place in this time. You will not return. The weight of those words hit him harder than the storm outside his mind. Raced images of the earth burning flickered in his vision as though the ship itself was urging him to decide. The map collapsed back into the sphere. The chamber dimmed. The voice spoke again, but this time with something colder in its tone. Someone you trust will try to stop you before you reach the core. They will. Believe they are saving you. You must choose who you will believe and who you will fight. Before Ethan could speak, the floor shuddered, a deep tremor running through the vessel. His drone flashed an alert unknown object, entering atmosphere rapidly. Approaching his suit's display lit up with a countdown impact in 4 minutes. The voice spoke quickly. Follow the eastern path to the command bridge. We must rise from the sand. The time to hide is over. Ethan turned toward the glowing path. The hum now. A deep, urgent pulse, his heart matching it step for step as he ran toward whatever was breaking through the skies above. Ethan ran through the glowing eastern corridor, the hum of the ship growing louder with each step, until it felt like the sound was inside his skull. The walls shifted and expanded around him as if the vessel were widening the path just for him. The air was alive with static, his suit feeding him streams of alien data. He barely understood. The countdown in his visor dropped past 2 minutes, and still the floor shook with distant impacts. Dust raining from seams above, the voice spoke urgently. The enemy probe is here. It has found us. Ethan's pulse quickened. Enemy probe here now. Not 3 days. The voice clarified. The fleet is still far, but they send scouts ahead to mark targets. The probe must not transmit our location or the fleet. We'll arrive early. The corridor curved upward, and suddenly he was standing on the command bridge, a wide circular room ringed with consoles and glowing panels. The ceiling arched high above like a cathedral of black metal and blue light. At the far end stood a massive window, the sand outside still swirling in the storm, and above it a black shape tearing through the clouds, its surface rippling with unnatural shadows. Ethan could feel the wrongness of it in his bones. The voice said, Take the helm. The controls are bound to your genetic key. He approached the center of the bridge where a tall pedestal rose, its surface smooth but alive with shifting light, as he placed his hands on it. The suit locked into the pedestal with a hiss, and the entire ship seemed to inhale. The hum rose to a deep roar. The floor trembled, and then with a sudden jolt, the sand outside erupted in waves. The ship rising slowly, pulling itself free from 5 centuries of burial. Golden dunes sliding away to reveal the full length of its sleek black hull. The storm ripped apart around it, as if the weather itself bent to its will in his visor. New symbols flashed. Flight control activated. Ethan felt the ship as if it were part of him. He thought about rising higher, and it responded. The ground fell away. The dunes shrinking below the enemy probe turned sharply toward him, a lance of dark energy erupting from its side. The blast struck the ship's shields, sending a ripple of blue light across. The hull, the voice was calm, return fire. Ethan hesitated, staring at the alien weapon systems highlighted on his display. He had never fired a shot in his life, but the ship responded to thought more than skill. He willed the weapons to aim, and instantly, panels along the hull slid open. Streams of brilliant light shot toward the probe, tearing chunks from its shifting form. It screeched, a soundless vibration that rattled his teeth. The voice warned it will attempt to override its signal. Ethan's display filled with symbols and streams of alien code. His mind scrambled to make sense of them, but the suit filtered the data into something almost like language. He reached mentally into the code, severing the connection line by line. until the display flashed. Signal terminated, the probe reeled, drifting in the storm clouds. Ethan moved in for another shot, but before he could fire, his drone beeped sharply. Incoming human craft. 4 signatures, his visor confirmed. 4 fighter. Jets slicing through the clouds straight toward him. The voice said, "They will see you as a threat. They will attack." Ethan clenched his jaw. "If I fire on them, it's over." The voice was silent as the jets locked onto him, missiles streaking through the air. The ship's shields caught the blasts in bursts of blue light, but the force rocked the bridge. His display flickered and the voice returned cold. "Someone on your world has already betrayed you. They have marked you for destruction." Ethan's chest tightened. Could this be the warning it spoke of earlier? He opened the comms channel broadcasting to the jets. "This is not an enemy. I repeat, this is not an enemy break-off," but the pilots either couldn't hear or wouldn't listen. The next volley of missiles screamed toward him, and something inside him snapped. He thought of pushing the ship upward at maximum speed, and in a blink it responded. The vessel shot into the clouds, leaving the missiles far behind, breaking through into the calm night sky above. The storm stars glittered all around, and for the first time Ethan saw the horizon curve, the earth stretching beneath him in all its fragile beauty. The voice spoke again. "We must go higher. We must reach orbit to prepare the shift drive." But Ethan's thoughts were tangled between the beauty below and the chaos behind. Someone had turned his own kind against him, and he had no idea who the enemy outside the planet was. Coming fast. But now there was an enemy inside it. 2. The earth curved far below him, a glowing marble of blue and white, hanging in the black ocean of space. The hum of the ship filled every cell of his body, steady and deep. But beneath it was something sharper, more urgent. The voice spoke. "We are clear of your atmosphere. The shift drive can now be awakened." Ethan stared out through the massive bridge window, his heart pounding. The enemy fleet was still beyond the edge of the system, but he could feel them like a storm building just beyond. Sight the stars at the far rim of his vision seemed darker, heavier, as though something vast was blotting them out. The voice continued. "You have 3 options. Remain here and fight until defeat, activate the planetary network and delay the inevitable, or travel back and strike before the war begins." Ethan gripped the control pedestal, his mind racing. If he stayed here, billions would die if he used the network. Maybe they could buy more time, but if he traveled back, he might never see this time. Again, never see his world or the people in it. The suit fed him images of the shift drive, a colossal structure buried deep in the heart of the ship, its core glowing with a light that bent space itself around it. The voice said to use the drive. "You must merge fully with the vessel. Your mind will guide its path, your body will not return." He exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the choice. Then the drone beeped sharply. Unknown craft approaching, 1 signature, human, small, fast, his visor displayed. A tiny shape racing toward them from the direction of Earth. As it drew closer, his chest tightened. It was a personal shuttle military issue. Someone had followed him here. The voice's tone darkened. "The one who will try to stop you is here." The shuttle latched onto the ship's hull, and moments later, footsteps echoed through the corridor behind him. The bridge door slid open, and a figure stepped inside. Commander Ray Miller, his oldest friend from the Exploration Corps. Her face hard, her eyes fixed on him. "Ethan, you have to stop this," she said, her voice low, urgent. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. This ship is dangerous. It's not here to save anyone." He shook his head. "You don't understand, Ray. There's an enemy coming. They're days away." She stepped closer, shaking her head. "I know about them. We've known for years, but this thing you're on is worse. If you activate that drive, you won't stop the war. You'll start it in every timeline." Her hand hovered near, the sidearm at her hip, her voice softer. "Please, Ethan, come with me now. We can destroy this before it's too late." The voice in his head was a low, steady warning. She has been misled. She believes she is protecting her world, but her truth is a lie. You must decide now. Ethan's chest ached, the storm of doubt crashing against the certainty the ship had given him. Ray had been with him through the worst missions, through fire and ice and black water. She had saved his life twice before. And yet, here she was telling him to abandon everything he had just learned. The shift drive's activation sequence appeared in his visor, glowing. Waiting for his confirmation, Ray's hand trembled slightly, her eyes full of something he couldn't name. Fear, maybe desperation. The voice urged, "There is no time. The enemy is closing. Choose." Ethan raised his hand to the pedestal. His mind split between the friend he had trusted for years and the ship that had been waiting for him for 5 centuries. His fingers hovered over the control. The hum deepened. The stars outside seemed to hold their breath. Ray took a single step closer. "Ethan, I'm begging you." And then in a single motion he placed his hand on the pedestal. The light in the bridge exploded. Into brilliance, the hum became a roar. The ship's walls rippling as if alive. Ray shouted his name, but her voice was lost in the storm of energy. The floor fell away in his vision, space-twisted stars stretched into lines of white. And then there was nothing. No sound. No sight, just the feeling of falling and rising at the same time, a final whisper from the voice you have chosen, and the blackness swallowed everything, leaving the fate of Ethan Cole and the world he left behind unknown.